What's up guys, my name is Colin and you're watching The Battle Bridge. Now, with Star Trek Picard bringing back another character from TNG's past, this time one who was relatively minor but had a pretty big impact on the fans, I thought it would be the perfect time to take a look back at the former Borg drone Third of Five, more commonly known as Hugh.
Are you ever lonely?
Sometimes. But that's why we have friends.
Friends?
Sure. Someone you can talk to. Who will be with you when you're lonely. Someone who makes you feel better.
Like Geordi and Hugh.
Now, we first met Hugh in the Star Trek TNG Season 5 episode, Eyeborg. In 2368, the Enterprise D discovers a crashed Borg scout ship on an uninhabited moon in an area of space known as the Argolis cluster. Now, among the debris of the crash site are a number of Borg corpses and one still barely living Borg drone. Now, despite all the misgivings of the away team and of Captain Picard back on the Enterprise, Dr. Beverly Crusher insists that they beam the injured Borg drone back to the ship and resuscitate him. After all, she is a doctor first, and I guess a Starfleet officer second. Now, Picard begrudgingly does agree to this, but beams the Borg drone to the brig, not to sickbay, and severs his connection to the collective. Now, at this point, we're in a post-Wolf 359 Star Trek world, and Picard has special knowledge about the inner workings of the Borg. Using that special knowledge, he instructs Geordi LaForge to implant within the drone a kind of malicious code. The idea is that when this wayward drone is reintroduced into the Borg collective, this paradox code he's carrying would cause a total systems failure in the entire Borg species within a matter of months. Dr. Crusher likens this plan to genocide. Captain Picard agrees that although it would be ethically and morally reprehensible under normal circumstances, the Borg have simply left them no choice. Just remember that at this point, Picard has already been assimilated by the Borg. They violated him. They used him. In fact, they used him to destroy 29 Starfleet vessels and about 11,000 Starfleet lives.
I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over. From this time forward, you will service us.
At this point, Picard's prejudice and attitude towards the Borg is deeply personal, whether he wants to admit it or not. But as Geordi and Dr. Crusher work on the drone, something happens. They actually get to know him as somewhat of an individual severed from the collective. It turns out that he has a personality full of curiosity and innocence. Not what most of the crew were expecting from a Borg. They even name him Hugh, a reference to the English word for you. Essentially, in a short matter of time, they treat him like a little lost puppy who's come in from the rain. Hell, even Guinan comes around on Hugh, and her species was wiped out by the Borg. Then, in a confrontation with Picard, who is acting under the guise of Locutus, his Borg name, Hugh essentially defies what he sees as the collective. He even uses the word I to refer to himself instead of we, proving that he is developing into a legitimate individual life form. At this point, for the Enterprise crew and even Picard, there is no going back. At his own selfless request, Hugh is deposited back on the moon where they found him to be picked up by the Borg collective once again. Now, later in TNG, we meet Hugh again, and we learn that his very individuality has spread like a virus to the Borg cube to which he was attached. Now, that cube was severed from the collective because of this, and it was left adrift in space, eventually to be discovered by Data's brother Lore. Hugh, it turns out, ends up being a kind of Borg resistance leader against Lore. This all takes place in the two-part episode Descent in TNG Season 6.
You are Borg. You will assist us.
I will not.
What did you say?
I will not assist you.
I
Now, the Hugh that appears in Descent is definitely more world-weary, more jaded than the one we first meet. He's angry at the Enterprise crew because of what happened to his fellow Borg after his own individuality was released into his local collective. But even so, he maintains a strong moral compass and a sense of right and wrong. But that was many decades before the events of Star Trek Picard, so there's really no telling how he might have changed for the better or for the worse in the years that followed. Hugh was the first ever Borg, besides Locutus, who had any kind of personality or individuality. And he was certainly the first ever Borg that we got to know and actually like. His appearances in TNG were a lesson to us all about characterizing our enemies or people we disagree with as less than human, or in Star Trek's case, less than sentient. His character reminds us all not to dehumanize people who are on the other side of a perceived line, whether that be a political line, an ethnic line, a national line, or anything else. Hugh showed us that even a bitter enemy is still a person when we strip away all our prejudice and baggage.
Geordi must not be assimilated.
But you are Borg.